it'll give you a little prompt.
Got it. Okay.
So Christy, what you're talking about is you've ran into this wall of pursuing exercising and then stopping, and then pursuing it and stopping, and feeling as though, you're always having to go back to the beginning and start again. And that's frustrating for you. And for you, you said it's more of like you'll kind of get, what stops you is more of maybe an obsessing of pushing your body further and further until maybe an injury shows up. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, that happens. Or, you walk every day for 6 months, and now you just notice you're getting a little bored doing that. Your mind wanders and you go, you know what? I'd rather be home. I think I want a glass of iced tea. And you're just really not paying attention to really what's around you or getting going or whatever. So you just get kind of bored doing it. And I need to open up to learn or find other things that, even with all my injuries, I can go and do and not get hurt doing it.
Yes. Yeah, that, and the difference between, I always say a young, very young person coming into fitness is that it's a very simple game of checkers against the easy opponent, because they don't have to deal with those things. So they can really overtrain, overuse, they get bored fast. We have more diligence, I think, into something as we get older. We'll stick to it more, but we can't do the same things over and over and over again without producing injuries faster. So when you think about you changing what you're doing, like you've done this before, and if you wanted to start implementing more stuff, like stuff that serves you, like what do you think, what comes to mind? What would you want to do besides just walking?
Well, I started with the challenge where I began, which was do 20 minutes for 20 days in a month, and you will affect change and you will get used to it, and then you'll be willing to create that habit of going out and doing. I started on a treadmill, which led me to walking. Does fine, but with my injuries, that even caught up with me.
Yeah.
So it's finding things that, when you have a hip replacement, you have a bad back, you have a pinched nerve, you have stuff that you've got to be okay in everyday life, but you also need to have that exercise to get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I just started over. So like I said, today I was going to go out 20 minutes on the treadmill. Don't think about it. Don't try to get to a 8 recline and, go faster, and just try to get it done and try to push through that and see if that my brain doesn't just kind of ignite again, just,
Yeah.
because it's almost like something shifts off and, oh yeah, let's just watch another movie instead of, oh yeah, let's go out and walk.
Mm.
Because walking is the simplest thing. And, because of my dogs, I'll take the dogs with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't, but
Mm-hmm.
it's simply getting out the door.
Yeah. There's a philosophy, it comes from Stoicism, and it says that there's freedom in structure. And that sounds like an oxymoron or whatever you want to call it. But it's true, like when you're keeping your schedule and you're adhering to your schedule all the time, there's freedom associated with that, because you generally get what it is that you need to get done, in a shorter amount of time, versus putting moments in there where you're just being, like you said, watching another movie or doing something like that. And then all of a sudden you get to the end of the day and you have no freedom, because you're scrambling to get the things done that you really wanted to get done or needed to get done. So I think about that a lot when it comes to my exercise. And then there's another part of it too, is that exercise is, to me, the purest form of uncomfortableness, because you're fatigued and your base is that you just want to get to a place where you rest. Like that's a survival thing. When you think about us thousands of years ago, Like when it was time to rest, it was time to rest, and we rested as much as we could because that was necessary. And today that doesn't serve us so much, is that I really think about doing the thing that's uncomfortable is going to serve me much more later in a delayed gratification way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how will I feel about watching the movie tonight, when I go to bed? Like, how will I talk to myself? What will that conversation be like? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be disappointed in myself that I didn't get my butt outside and do the work.
How would
'Cause
you
you have-
feel if tonight when you lay your head on the pillow and you got out there and you did the work?
I'd feel better.
Awesome. So you can bring that feeling in right then and there, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how you perform. And you mentioned that too before I hit the record button here, that you hold yourself to a performance standard, kind of like, okay, I did 1 mile, I can do 2, I can look 4, look 5, looks good, and it keeps going, right?
Mhm.
I really think that what I put in place, because you're different from day to day too. I've done progressive, work with people as I've trained them, and I found that it's just not linear. You really can't adhere to that because you don't know what somebody's facing in their life, if it's stress at any given moment, and so expecting them to get this percent better every time, it just really isn't feasible. You're going to go out there and you're going to perform the way that you're going to perform today, and just accepting that there's more of a level of fatigue or uncomfort that you're looking for. So one day I might be able to go out and run 3 miles, and if I can only run a mile and a half the next day, that's fine. If I just experience that zone of I've pushed my body today, what was enough for me. So maybe that's something that you can start to implement too, is that you just want to reach a certain level wherever you're at for that particular day, versus saying, it's worthless. If that might be running through your head, it's worthless if I don't do as good as I did last time. That's not true. You're getting great benefit, and you're getting that regular habit creation, that regular constant exposure to exercise, and you're going to get the results that you want from that versus any particular one performance that's great or better than your last performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of a shift in mentality, like
Well,
there's a
and
self.
that's what I've been trying to do, is you don't have to do what you were doing a year ago, where,
No.
I've got to get up, I've got to go, it's got to be 5 miles, and maybe I'll come home and I'll do more stuff. And then when you stop, you're like, how do I get started again? Why
Yeah.
did you beat yourself up for falling back into that trap of, yeah, well, I don't have to do it today.
Right.
And it's that telling yourself, you know what, even if you walked around the block, that's enough.
Hmm.
Which is better than not doing any.
Yeah.
So, but getting your mind to reset like that, for me, who's very goal oriented, it's like, oh, I don't know, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
So I'm out there trying.
Yeah. You're doing good. And you're showing up, you're here, and you're trying. And that's all you can really do, is offer that energy and that effort in that type of a way. And then I think it's just becoming aware of, what your self-talk is. Like, am I beating myself up or am I building myself up?
Oh yeah.
You know?
And the first talk is to beat yourself up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the other talk. You
Yeah.
don't hear that
Yep.
unless you see it or you read it, or
Mhm.
you're doing something and, oh, well, that sounds pretty cool. I need to remember that and say that to myself.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't do the work, don't expect the results. If you're
Exactly.
what is it? If you're disappointed in the results, you have to do the work to
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just happen because you wish it to be so.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm going to
yeah.
share with you is that the truth is, it might be different than you've heard before, but what you really need to do is disconnect from the results completely. The only time you get emotionally involved with the results is when you're feeling as though you have them right now. Like, you just really enjoy that moment and you like that. And then when you
Mhm.
take your action, it's important to disconnect from the results, because if you're connected with the results, they have control over you. You know, whatever your performance may be, or, you know, if you were trying to lose a pound this week or 2 pounds or something and you didn't, or you actually gained a half pound, it takes control over what we call your vibration, or you would call your emotions. And so it starts to direct you, because everything is vibration emotionally driven that way. But if you just get out of that and you get into the feeling of how happy you are to take the action, you know, you just do the thing, just go out there and do it. I say a lot, before you got that programming that you're not doing it good enough, like that self-talk. Remember back to when you were a kid, why did you get good at stuff? It's because you really wanted to do the thing and you just had a blast doing it. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
every free moment that you had, you would steal away and you would go do it. And then when we got older, that just kind of got programmed, it got programmed over with, you know, okay, this is a performance related thing, you're not doing good enough in any area of your life. And you'd start to get down in what we call negative vibrations, you know, negative feelings, pushing you toward what you don't want, which ultimately, you know, we would stop. We would come up with an excuse or whatever, a reason why we had
Mhm.
to stop. And all it did was take away that consistency for you. The consistency of taking the action over and over and over again is what actually produces the results. And again, the diversity of action, there's something that I want to share with you too. You don't have to come up with that how. Like, the how really isn't your business. We kind of leave that out there for God. It's not a problem for God. But when you're putting that vibration on of feeling that fit and healthy body that you want already, like you're seeing and feeling your goal as right now, like just enjoying that, like you did when you were a kid, like you could get imaginative. We just forgot how to do it when we got to be adults. But when you do that, you're offering that up, and then that's coming back to you in the form of, you have ideas and inspiration of how to move forward. And we don't think that way as adults. We forget that. So we lose that power, and we're grinding away in our analytical mind, trying to find the next thing that we've got to do, not knowing that the feeling that we're not going to find it is what's really guiding the way, because it keeps not showing up and not showing up. Like, it's
So
definitely
true.
going to,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely going to show up for you, and you know it, because this isn't a problem for God. You know, God knows the way exactly to what it is that you want. And it's really like you receiving it based on, you know, that that's coming to you. Like, the answer's
Mhm.
coming to me because I'm offering this up in this form of this prayer, is what some people would call it. Just knowing that it's done. I felt it. I see it, hear it, smell it, taste it. Like, I can feel being that thing right now. And let's just get curious about what's going to show up. If that makes sense. If you have any questions, fire them at me about it. But if not, I want to share something with you. I've shared this story before, and this has happened to me over and over again in my life. Um, but I'm going to share it in the form of fitness. Even if you've heard it again, I want to share it with you. Did you have any questions about what I shared?
No, that was really eye-opening, because I can think back to, high school days and things like that, and all the sports that I played and all the stuff that I did, and it was not drudgery at all. Even when I was teaching aerobics, it wasn't I didn't have to think about it really. I was enjoying it. And
Yeah.
but even that first year I was walking and walking so much, I enjoyed it very much. I just
Mhm.
have to get my brain back to understand that you it's got to be the fun part of it.
Yeah. A guy
And
said
yeah,
to me, go ahead.
go no,
Guy
just
said
so
to me one time, made really good sense. He said, the less I grind, the more it's mine. And I was like,
yeah.
wow, that's powerful. Because I bought into the grind at some point in my life. Fitness actually brought me to the grind too. And because everybody that I saw that succeeded in fitness, like I was watching Schwarzenegger, and they always talked about how they were the hardest worker. And I always compared myself to that. But they didn't have any understanding of what we share in the coaching, is that their work was driven by a vision. Whether they knew it or not, they were doing it. And Schwarzenegger did talk about that later, about how he had visions of what he wanted to achieve and how great that was. And that actually fueled his work, because everything that he was doing, he was loving that, because he knew every repetition he was doing, or, whatever he was doing, and life was moving him toward that thing. So he's just on fire with it. He was tapped into this energy of the highest energy, what we call love, through the vision of what just you and I were talking about, holding that vision for yourself, but not really knowing how it's going to show up. That's fine. So that's all I knew about fitness when I first decided I was going to do it. I didn't share my goals with anybody. I didn't even know what a goal was. I was 15, but I knew that people that it was all about the hardest work. And I just thought, gosh, people are so like, they just don't do the work. And I can do the work. I'm kind of laying around here. I've got plenty of time at 15. I'll go do that. And I was grinding. I immediately went into the grind. I did want my goal very much. So I was in love with that idea and it fueled me forward. But that programming of the grind, it wore me all the way down until from the time I was 15 till I was 18, I was doing everything that I could, keeping my goal kind of a secret. I had a lot of blocking programming. I thought personal trainers were dumb. Why would you need those? All you got to do is work. You just got to do a lot of stuff. And so I was grinding away at that. And the hardest time for me to grind away at that was during a run, because I would really get on myself if I got tired quicker in the run. Like when I would normally be at a trot and it wouldn't be hard. And all of a sudden, if I was breathing hard, all of a sudden this down talk would come to me, like, you're such a loser, like, look at you, you can't do this. You're not strong enough. And it was an argument that I would have, and I would grind my way all the way through that. And I really hated running, but I thought it's hard. So it fell in line with what I need to do. You need to do hard stuff a lot in order to get this result that I wanted. And I was about to quit. And that's when I realized, well, you're about to quit because you're having this angry conversation with yourself. You just really don't like the conversation. So what if you just had a different conversation? And I did. I said, okay, like you're talking to yourself basically out here on the riverbank. Like, why not just go to a completely different place and just fantasize about what it's like to have the physique that you want? And the reason I'm sharing this story with you is that it did allow me to continue to run. But running at that point had nothing to do with the fitness that I was generating. It got very powerful because I was visualizing this physique that I wanted, and I was seeing how I interacted with the world, because what I really wanted was more confidence. I wanted more acceptance. That's what I was craving. And so I was visualizing this, and I was basing it all on this physique that I had created. And what happened for me, Christy, was so many things that you have to say that I don't have control over these things. This is God. This is why this is like a prayer or something that we're offering up that way. I know we think about praying and getting down on our knees, and yes, we can pray in that fashion too, but what we're doing all day long is doing that. And so I didn't go to gyms very much, but I decided one day I would go to a gym. I would take my friends. I was kind of proud of the weight that I was lifting. So I grabbed a couple of friends and said, let's go work out. And they were like, yeah, we're young, let's go work out. And this is the time, like I said, I'm about 18 or so. Well, at that particular gym, on that day, a guy from LA was a great trainer, and he showed up. And somebody had said that. They said, he's a really great trainer. And by the way, they were like, he makes over 6 figures a year just being a personal trainer. And this is in the late 80s, early 90s that this was happening for me. But I changed. We got a little bit of construction going on here. I'm going to change my door, close my door. So I changed because instead of thinking the trainer was dumb, I would talk to him. And I went up to him and I says, hey, Lou, check this out. Like, this is what I'm doing. And I was proud. Like, I'm a beast, I'm working out like this. And he just calmly said, Matt, if you keep doing stuff like that, he said, you're going to destroy yourself. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
Like, I thought you would tell me, like, good job. And in that moment, Lou, he was so kind. Like, just think about this, Christy. He only showed up at that gym that day. He lived in LA. He happened to be in Hanford. He walked in the gym. And then I had the conversation with him, and he immediately said, listen, let me take you through a program. And he took me through a program that took about, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes. And he blew my mind with how it attacked my muscles. And he told me, this is what you need to do. And he cut out probably 75% to 80% of my workouts, which was like, it was really a big shift for me. But I trusted and believed in him. And I did exactly what he told me to do. And in 3 months, I had the physique that I wanted. And by the way, during this time, for 3 years, I'd struggled, I hadn't really gotten anywhere. And then in 3 months, I had the physique that I wanted because I'd ran into Lou. But it wasn't because I had ran into Lou. I know that with all my heart. It's because I started to think about things different when I was on my run. And I kept running and I kept visualizing. So I would go to the gym a little bit more. And I ran into a guy who said, and I'd had workout partners and they had came and gone, flaky. We know how that stuff goes. It's going to happen
Yeah.
for a person that's getting into fitness. Once you're really driven, you see people come and go because people just kind of like, they check it out, they think they want it, and then they get the heck out of there. This guy said, I promise you I'll be the best workout partner you ever had. He said, I need a workout partner. He said, but there's one reason why I'll do it with you. I'll make a deal with you. He said, I'll only do it with you if you do martial arts with me because I need a partner to hold the pads and do that. I had no desire to do martial arts whatsoever, but I thought, you know what, this is kind of worth looking into. I would like to have a good partner. The way Lou showed me how to work out too was you needed a partner because he really wanted you to push your body to a failure, but do it in a really short amount of time, less exercises. So I needed a partner. And so I says, okay, my new partner was Adelcio. And Adelcio would have me do martial arts with him 2 or 3 times a week. And it was actually harder. It was kind of hard for me to get through that. But then come to find out, I wasn't even interested in martial arts. I started seeing the physiques for the particular type of martial arts that he was doing. And they were exactly the physiques that I wanted. And I was like, whoa. And my physique just started to come into play more and more and more. I never could have affected all of those things in my life. I never could have found that path on my own. And that's why I say it's not hocus pocus or anything. It's just something it's fallen away from us, or we're not taught about why it's so important to feel your goal real now. You feel it now, and then be open to what's going to show up for you. And what you're telling me is, I'm looking for different forms of exercise. Something that I don't do the same thing over and over and over and repetitive and just stretching the time and distance doing it until it becomes an injury or something that holds me back. I'm looking for other avenues. And I really feel by harnessing that and feeling that goal, you're going to get those answers coming into you the same way they did for me. And that was just 2 things that happened there. There was so many other things that showed up for me along that path. The story goes 3 years of struggle. And then that turned into 3 months that I had the physique that I wanted. And in 6 months, I had a physique that I never even on those runs, I'm not sure that I could have put a physique together in my mind that way. Like, God is waiting to bless us with more than we even know, I think, but we have to be willing to receive it. We have to be able to understand what it is for it to show up in our life.
Yeah, I think really the one thing that's really impressed upon me is when I'm out, whether I'm on the treadmill or walking or doing something my body is, allowing me to do. And I'm walking and I'm so tired. I just want to go home. But if I change what I'm thinking and I change the whole narrative that's going on in my head, that I may end up, hey, you had a good workout today and you didn't quit. You didn't just go home. And the next time it happens, you'll be doing it, whether you realize you're doing it or not, changing what's being said to yourself in your head.
Exactly.
Because I see that's a big problem for me now when it wasn't before. So yeah, I think that will really super help me as I'm getting back to it.
The self-talk that I'm not doing good enough. And once that becomes a habit, you're always going to seek a reason why you're not doing good enough. And you're always going to find
exactly it. Yeah. It's not enough. It's just not enough. Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's that self-talk. So if I replace it with something else, it could be anything else almost, but not that negative talk that you're doing to yourself.
Exactly. Because that self-talk there is always going to get you, the results that it's gotten you in the past, and you're just tired of that. So it's time to do something new. And it's usually coupled with, I'm not doing good enough to, or why I don't deserve the results. And you
Mhm.
just have to let all those things go. And then also understand, Christy, that when you start changing that programming, like I did great, it doesn't feel like that at first. It feels like you just started eating with your other hand. You know what I mean? Your non-dominant hand. It feels
Yeah.
weird to finish your day and say, hey, I did great. Why? Well, I really didn't. Like, the other day I walked like 4 miles, and today I only did 2.5. I say, whoa, 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 whoa. Like that's old self. That's the habit. And you see how easy it is to go down that path, because that's what we do. We form habits as humans, so we don't have to think about it anymore. It's just kind of taken care of. And in order to change that habit and say, no, I did great. I did great. It will feel weird at first. It's always going to feel weird, and it's okay. Once we start to understand this stuff and we accept it as such, we go, oh, well, that's why that feels weird. Why did I do good? Write it down if you need to. Tell
Mhm.
yourself, good job. You'll start becoming aware of when that negative self-talk comes in, and then you just replace it right away, or you just kick it out. Like, don't bother with it. Like, turn on some music, go do something different that makes you feel good, because spending any time with that, is going to get you your old results. And you're just tired of that. You're
Yeah.
tired of doing that over and over and over again, starting over, starting over, starting over. We know
Yeah.
what it gets you.
Yeah. It gets
Absolutely.
me self-talk that is not good for me. And it's getting rid of that self-talk and just go out and do something. Like I said, my challenge is 20 minutes. You can go out and do anything for 20 minutes. Just
Yeah.
go and do that 20 minutes. You've got all month to get that 20 minutes in, and slowly start to, kick it in. But the self-talk that goes on while I'm doing it, I can end that and really start working on that today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start seeing your world the way that you want it to be in terms of your health and fitness. Like, the interactions you have with people and how they're receiving you being exactly what you want to be.
Hmm.
um whatever scenarios that you want to create in your world, and just start filling it with that. Like, think about me on the run, and do that for you in your fashion, and you're going to be
Hmm.
really surprised at what shows up for you. And when you find the old self-talk, like, just don't bother with it. And another thing I want to just let you know is, don't beat yourself up for it, because that's been programmed into you from someplace else. You wouldn't choose to program something like that into yourself. It's just programming that you got from an outside source. It doesn't serve you. And however it was handed to you, those that hand it to you, they didn't have harmful intentions. They just didn't know better. What they generally were doing is handing programming that they had.
Hmm.
But we do that and we accept that because we don't realize that you're actually self-programmable. And you just talk to yourself, and your life is showing up right now based on how do you talk to yourself on a regular basis, habit. And you can just immediately start to change that. And you just start changing that, how you talk to yourself. And once that gets built into you, your whole world will change. Just like mine did with the fitness. Everything that you're doing, you'll start to experience your world different. You'll see things that you didn't see before. You'll talk to people you hadn't talked to. You have inspired ideas that you didn't have before. Like, it might be like, hey, I want to go take this class, at whatever, some particular place, and you just show up and just see what happens. But the point of it is that you'll see your whole world change. You'll see your action change when you change that self-talk.
I'm going to do that self-talk. Like I said, I'm going to begin today because I still have a workout to go today.
Good.
So it's going to be done. So
Go love that workout. I'm going
there
to
we
share one
go.
more thing with you is that when I was doing my workout today, my workout partner didn't show up, and I also did it too. So I'm not playing like I'm an expert at this. I'm a student like you. I just love it and I love to share it. But I did have that moment of awareness where I was like, this is hard and I'm tired. And then I stopped and I said, wait a minute, you're out in the garage and it's 4:45 in the morning and you're doing your workout. Like, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like, I had to switch it in that moment. It didn't matter the performance that I was doing. It didn't matter if I was tired. And then all of a sudden, right back in that moment, I felt back in love with the action. And then I continued to go through my workout and just be proud of what I was doing, you know? Now I get to lay my head on the pillow tonight and be like, hey, you know, you did a fine job. You missed your
Did a
workout
good job.
partner. Yeah, you did a great job. You're doing all the things necessary that if you consistently do this, you know, there's no result that you can't produce. We can apply that to our exercise. We can apply that to our eating. We can apply that to our thinking. You can change your whole life.
Sounds like a plan to me. So
Go-
I'm gonna give it a try. I'm
Go get 'em.
definitely in. Yep,
I'm
gonna
I'm
do
so
it.
glad. I'm so glad that you showed up. And you're such an awesome, wonderful person. I know you personally. So, you know, it's so easy for me to say that you deserve all the results in the world. You deserve all the great things that you really want.
Well, I'm gonna get back with it. So, and
Good.
there's nothing wrong with beginning again. So
There's nothing wrong with it.
just
We all do
begin.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just begin.
Get back
So
on that horse faster.
I'm gonna do it. Yes,
Well,
great.
thank you so much for making
Thank
this
you,
call
Matt.
so great.
Okay, you be sure to let me know next week when you're on.
I absolutely will. Next week will be the end, the last coaching. So I look forward to seeing it. It will be at noon
Okay,
on Friday.
okay.
Again, it's the same link, but I will send it out to you. And I look
Well,
forward to
now
seeing.
I got to figure out what's wrong with my iPad that it just wouldn't let me join. It kept asking me for a password. I'm like,
Huh.
wow, duh. So it held me up, and I was all ready to go to like,
Oh,
you know, 11:58. Okay, I'm ready. What the
yeah.
heck now?
That's
So
it.
I'm on my phone. My phone let me on. So who
Good. If you
knows?
have to use your phone, you use your phone.
Yep,
And
worked okay.
I think on my end, I have all my passwords, you know, gone, so you don't need those. And so what happens is you just go to a waiting room, and then I see that, and then I let you in. That's kind of either or with Zoom. But if you have
Yeah,
any
it took me a
technical
while to get
issues,
there.
if you
Yeah.
have any technical issues, send me a text, and I'll
Okay,
make
shall do.
sure, you know, that you get on here. I feel like this stuff is so important because it's the difference between getting what you want or living a life of struggle and never getting what you want. I feel
Well,
like this information is.
you certainly gave me a tool today that I'm going to give a try, and it just makes so much sense. So I'll let you know how it goes.
I can't wait to hear the feedback.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Have a
Okay,
great
Matt.
weekend. I always
You too.
appreciate you. Reach out anytime. I'm here.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, Matt.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
And before I end this recording, I want to say that the code word for this recording, if you watched it, was Bengals. Secretly, I think that the Bengals are going to win. So there we go. And then now I'll end this recording. All right. Bye, y'all.